Hey guys, today's video is going to be a little bit different because I'm going to basically be going over a few problems from the paper the sub should be handing you, okay? I am sorry that I'm out. I have to take care of some stuff. But, so I just want to make sure you guys have a chance to understand like what each kind of these problems is talking about. So I'm going to do several of the problems from the paper itself, but you need to finish all 19 problems, okay? I think I'm going to do like 6 in this video, so that should leave you with only about 13 left to do, okay? Plenty of time to finish it in class, alright? So number 1, a prepaid cellular phone charges $25 for activation and 5 cents per minute. The relation of cost to minutes can be defined by the function c of x is equal to 0.5x plus 25. So in other words, the cost, dependent upon the minutes, so x represents the minutes, is equal to 5 cents times the minutes plus $25. What is the inverse of the function? Okay, so yesterday you guys should have watched videos and done problems that talked all about how to find the inverse of a function. Okay, and so just to kind of go over that briefly, we find the inverse of a function by basically switching x and y and then solving for y all over again. All right, c of x right here is just a fancy y because y is just our output and c of x is our output. So first thing I like to do is I just like to change my function notation to being just a y. Okay. So I changed c of x, which is my function notation, to being just y. Alright, so then my next step is to, switch x and y. So 0. Actually, I can just say 0.05. That first 0 is not necessary. Plus 25. Ah, that should be a y right there. I should just erase it like a normal person rather than scratching it out. Alright, so put a y. Okay, that's a really long y. Shore that up just a bit, okay? And then plus 25. Okay, so now I just need to solve for y again. Okay, so then you look at this, you say, okay, we'll solve for y. I need to get rid of any additions or subtractions first. There's a plus 25, so I need a minus 25 on both sides. So I get x minus 25 is equal to 0.05y. Okay, and then you say, okay, 0.05 is multiplying to y, so I need to divide both sides by 0.05. Dividing by 0.05, dividing by 0.05. Okay, so now we ask ourselves, what is x divided by 0.05? Like, what does that? Because when you look at your answers, I guarantee at least 3 of you are going to be tempted to pick c. But that is not the same thing as dividing by 0.05, okay? C is wrong because it should be x divided by 0.05, not x times a negative 0.05, okay? So, it's either B or D. Well, here's a way we can figure out, oh, why is it not A? Because it says negative 20, right? And we know that there's no negative happening in front of the X, so I can also mark out A. Alright? But, what I could do to determine what is X divided by 0.05, like what is that going to look like? I know X is still going to be involved, but we don't usually divide by a decimal. You know, we don't usually leave it like that. Well, just what is 1 divided by 0.05? Because that's the number in front of X, right? 1. So 1 divided by 0.05 is 20. So x divided by 0.05 is really the same thing as 20 times x. Alright, and the reason that is because 1, that's the number in front of x, 1 divided by 0.05 is 20. So, instead of just saying x divided by 0.05, I can say 20 times x minus, and then I can do 25 divided by 0.05. And that is 500. And that's going to equal y, which is my inverse. So then I know that the inverse, so that's f to the negative 1, of x is equal to 20x minus 500. Alright. So which one of these says that? Hopefully you're all like, ah, it's D, obviously. Very good. Okay. Alright. Next problem I go over is number 2. This one's very simple, but I just want to make sure you guys had it. Which of the following is the inverse relation to the set of ordered pairs? And gives you all these ordered pairs. Remember, what is an inverse at the end of the day? It's just a reflection across the line y equals x. So really that means all you're doing is switching x and y. Alright? So that means I'm switching negative 10 and 5. So I should look for something that says 5, negative 10. Well, that's easy because this says 10, negative 5. I'm not switching the negative signs. I mean, I'm switching the numbers. So, negative 10 and 5 need to switch completely, so it should be 5 and negative 10. And the only one that has that is A. Awesome. Part 3. Which of the following is the inverse of the function multiply by 8, then subtract 10? Remember, you undo any additions or subtractions first, Then you undo any multiplications or divisions. Okay? So I have to undo subtract 10 first. What's the opposite of subtracting 10? Adding 10. Then I undo multiply by 8, so I should divide by 8. So A says add 10, divide by 8. Problem 4. Which of the following is the inverse to this function? Negative 8 minus 5x. Okay, so here's f of x, which is just really a fancy y, if y'all remember. And the reason I write it as y is because then my next step is to switch x and y. So I'm going to switch x and y. So I'm going to get x is equal to negative 8 minus 5y, and now I'm going to solve for y. Remember, you have to get rid of any additions or subtractions first. I know this negative 8 is in front, but it's really kind of subtracting from the thing overall, okay? So we're going to add 8 so that I can move it over to the other side, okay? So now I have x plus 8 is equal to a negative 5y, okay? The next thing I want to do is divide everything by a negative 5. Okay. Well, x divided by negative 5 is just negative 1x over 5. Okay. And then positive 8 divided by negative 5 is just negative 8/5. Alright. And that all equals y, which, since this was an inverse, instead of saying y, I write f raised to the negative 1 of x. F raised to the negative 1 just means inverse, okay? It just means inverse function. All right, so which one of these says that? C is the only one that says that correctly, so that's our answer. All right. Okay, so this is a good problem, but I had to put it on my screen a little weirdly. Okay, so I do apologize for that. Okay, but what we have here, a graph of a function is shown. So here's our graph. Which of the following is the inverse? Okay, which of the following is the inverse of this graph? Remember that all you're really doing when you are doing inverses is you're reflecting across the line y equals x, which just looks something like this, okay? I do apologize that my handwriting is just that bad. So basically, you're just taking this line and flipping it over this guy right here. I don't know why that happened. Let me get rid of that. Okay. So here's an easy way to do this problem. Pick a few points, switch them, and then see which one has all of those. Okay, so for example, I notice here I have the point 0, negative 2. Okay, 0, negative 2. I have the point 1, 0. 1, 0. Okay, so I have 2 points. Let's just start there. If I need to come back and get a third, I will. But let's switch them. So the inverse function, that graph should go through negative 2, 0 and 0, 1. Okay, so we're looking for something that goes through 0, 1. Does this guy go through 0, 1? 0, 1. That'd be right here. No. So A is out. Does this guy go through 0, 1? That'd be right here. No. So that's out. 0, 1. 0, 1. Okay, so both those go through 0, 1. So let's check our other point. Negative 2, 0. Alright. Does this guy go through negative 2, 0? Yes. This guy could be it. Let's check D. Does this guy go through negative 2, 0? No. So D is out. So B is our only answer. Alright, last problem I want to go over. For h of t equals negative 6t plus 7, determine the inverse of h evaluated at 4. Okay, there are two ways to go about this problem. I want to discuss them. The first way is simply to first find the inverse of h of t. So here's h of t. So I'm going to start out replacing the h of t with a y. So I say y is equal to negative 6t plus 7. Okay, and then I switch the y and the t. So now I get t is equal to negative 6y plus 7. Okay, and now I need to solve for y. So I subtract 7. So t minus 7 is equal to negative 6y. Now I divide everything by negative 6. Okay. And remember, since our end of the goal is really just to plug in a number, this doesn't have to be super clean. Okay. I don't have to simplify it crazy far down. But this is just going to be something like negative t over 6. Negative divided by negative, that becomes a positive, plus 7 over 6. And that's going to equal y. So now what I can do is I want to just plug in 4 for t. Okay? That's all I want to do. So this looks like a bunch of fractions. So I suggest you guys use the alpha y equals button. My calculator is old and does not have that capability. But it says negative t divided by 6. So negative of my t value divided by 6 plus 7 divided by 6, and I get 0.5. So then I can say h of negative 1 evaluated at 4 is 0.5 or 1/2. I don't care which one you put. All right, now that's one way to go about this problem. Another way you could have gone about this problem, which honestly is a lot faster, is to remember what is an inverse at the end of the day. It's simply switching of the x and the y. So if you took this 4 and you plugged it in right now, okay, so in other words, you said h of 4. Notice I'm not doing the inverse, I'm doing the original function. H of 4 is negative 6 times 4 plus 7. If you did that, hold on. That doesn't make sense. Nope, there's not two ways to do this problem. That's embarrassing. There's not two ways. That's not going to work. That was a bad idea. Just ignore that. Scrap that. Scrap that idea. Okay. My apologies. That's weird. Smarter people will probably go and edit that part out, but I'm not going to because, I don't know, it's important y'all see I make mistakes. So this is how this problem works, alright? So what you have to do first is actually find the inverse of this function, okay? So you find the inverse, and then you just simply plug in that number for it, alright? Hopefully my mistake wasn't too confusing. Once again, just go back and think, okay, so the first thing you said about two things is wrong. Alright, what I have to do first is take the function, find its inverse, that's what we did here, and then that just becomes my input value. So I replace the t with the 4 after I found the inverse. Okay? Oh, this was the other way I was going to show y'all. That's right, this is what I was going to show y'all. Remember what an inverse is. So if you take the original function, you don't plug 4 in for t, you plug in 4 for h of t. Okay? Because, and then you'd have to solve for t itself. Okay? So, well, no, just do this other way. Just do this other way. I'm being really confusing. So scrap everything other than this way right here. Okay? So just think, alright, what I need to do is take this function, find the inverse of this function, then, after I find the inverse of this function, plug in that value. That's what you need to do. Alright, sorry this video went a little long here at the end. I apologize for all that confusion. So, I probably won't have access to my cell phone during y'all's classes, but feel free to send me a remind anyway, and I will respond when I can, or send me an email. Either one is fine. You can send me an email, or you can send me a remind message. I will try to respond to both. However, I do expect that you will complete the last 2 days' assignments, Thursday and Friday. You guys are seniors, or you're in your senior class if you're a junior, okay? I expect it to get done on Monday. I'm not going to give you extra time. We're going to trade and grade Thursday and Friday's assignment, and then we are going to move forward. All right? Thanks.